We're making roast beef, Yorkshire pudding, and roasted carrots for our special Sunday dinner. Let's get started.
So here's what it's going to look like when we're done. The roast beef is beautiful. The Yorkshire pudding is nice and fluffy, and the roasted carrots are buttery, tasty, and crisp. To start this, I started by peeling a kilo or 2.2 pounds of carrots and cutting them in half, and cutting them in half lengthways too, and cutting off the edges. And I boiled them for 10 minutes. In the meantime, I mixed up my Yorkshire pudding mixture. I used 3 small eggs or 2 large eggs. These are small eggs, 1 cup of milk, 1 cup of bread flour, and a half a teaspoon of salt. First thing to do is to crack the eggs into the mixing bowl. Getting good at cracking eggs here. Yep. 1, 2, 3. And I put the salt in with the eggs, the half a teaspoon of salt, a little bit more. Yeah. Mix that up just fine. Add the rest of the liquid, which would be milk, cup of milk or 8 ounces. Mix that. And the cup or 8 ounces of bread flour. And give that a mixing. This is the only time I mix this. I don't mix it again before I put it in the cooking pan. I take out the stir and I just let the mixture set. And if any bubbles want to rise out of it or anything, any air, that's fine. We just let it sit. We do not have to touch this again. This is the meat we're going to cook. It's 0.762 of a kilo. That's like 1.7 pounds. So how do I cook that to get it to turn out perfectly rare? Here's a chart I made up all by myself, and my daughter typed it up for me. I've got it in pounds and kilograms, 180 degrees C to put the meat in, 220 to turn it up for the pudding, when the meat comes out, when the pudding comes out, and everything. It's a perfectly good chart. I use it all the time because we cook this meal about once every 3 to 4 weeks. So we see the time. We're going to always eat at 6 o'clock. You can always change your chart if you pick a different eating time. But so in that, by knowing the weight of the meat, you know when to put it in. And the pudding always goes in at 1720, and the meat always comes out at 1730 to be wrapped in foil, of course, and sitting on the side. I heat up the Yorkshire pudding tray that I'm going to cook the pudding in while I'm cooking the roast. This is the roast unwrapped. Today I've decided to put some salt and pepper on it and some Worcestershire sauce. You can put any sauce you want on yours, or you can put no sauce. You can put wine or whatever you like, herbs. Rub some garlic into it. You're the chef in your own house, so do what you like and it'll taste great. If you put good stuff in, you should get good stuff out. Okay, I use this kind of meat rack because I want my meat to be shaped more into a ball, so I'm going to use it to hold my meat together. You'll notice this meat has no fat on it. That's because that's the kind of meat we get around here. It's virtually fat-free, unless you go for some pork. So I put a bit of butter on top of my meat to take up the place of the fat that normally comes on a piece of beef. So maybe a 1/4 cup of butter on top. You can or cannot do this depending on if you want to or not, or you can put some oil on top if you think your meat might be too dry. Now the carrots have boiled for 10 minutes. They're sitting there waiting for me to take them out with my wire carrot remover tool. And I put them in the mixing bowl. There they go. They'll be in there. I don't cool them off. I keep them warm. The reason I keep them hot, instead of like some people drain their carrots and then put cold water on them and stuff like that, I want to melt butter on them because I'm going to roast these carrots and I want them nice and buttery and salt and peppered. That's about a 1/4 cup of butter. Mix it in with the carrots until it's melted. You can salt and pepper them. You might want to put some dill on them or some other herb that you like. Woohoo! I put the carrots onto the roasting tray with my roast. That way, if there is any meat dripping, it will go in. The carrots will taste nicer. Do that if you want. Put them on a separate tray if you like. Whichever you want. Okay, hey, it's 1646. Put your meat in the oven. The oven's at 350 or 180. I'm going to put some butter in my tray to melt right before the time to put the pudding in because I don't have any meat drippings to make my Yorkshire pudding with, so I am going to use some butter and some Worcestershire sauce in place of meat drippings. You might want to use something else. Try different things, see what your family likes the best. This is just really easy. Okay, put the pudding mixture into the pudding tray, and the oven is being turned up to 220 or 425. And 10 minutes later, the meat comes out. So the meat has spent 10 minutes at a higher temperature. I get it off of its rack and I put it into the piece of foil I have sitting there on the side. It will continue to cook with its own internal heat for the next half hour. So I wrap it in foil, and I usually put a towel on it too to keep it warm. A clean towel, of course. Sit there and be good. I turn the carrots over. They're going to go back in the oven for the next half hour with the pudding. So in go the carrots. Oh, 1800, 6 o'clock, time for dinner. Get the pudding out. Looking good. Love Yorkshire pudding. We all like that. And also get out the carrots. And they're done too. Everything's ready at the right time. Perfect. In the meantime, we've sliced up the meat, which only took a couple minutes. So we've got the pudding. Looks nice. Got the meat sliced. And here it is on the plate. Yorkshire pudding's on the left. If you can't recognize it, there's roast beef and the carrots. I like to put some gravy on this. Okay. Ooh. Dishing out another serving here. Roast beef, Yorkshire pudding, and roasted carrots. Really good meal. And this is what it looks like this evening. Half a moon. Finally had a clear sky, kind of.